Welcome back, everybody, to the Level Up podcast. And of course, I'm Brendan Payne. And today we've got an incredible guest from our Century 21 family coming to us from Florida, specifically one of my favorite spots in the country, the Florida Keys. We've got Mr. Carlos G with us. Hey, Carlos, how are you doing?
Hey, Brendan, how are you? Good to be here, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on and excited to have met you. I mean, we've only known each other for about 30 days, and I knew that you could be a great contributor to the Level Up podcast, and so I'm excited to have you on. I'll just kind of briefly introduce, because I think it's relevant to what your message is that you're going to share, how you and I got connected. I know that I think you were over between Christmas and New Year's. You spent some time near us here in Charleston, and you were just kind of doing a little bit of market research and came across, I think, some videos that maybe I had done or some posts and stuff. And you just reached out like the not outgoing person you are. I know it's tough for you to make connections with
very
people.
hard.
It's out of your box, but
Yeah.
You reached out and we were able to connect and have a lot of the same mindsets and stuff. So I'm really excited to have you on here and sharing with all the listeners kind of the stuff that you're doing. So for those who may not know who you are, then maybe just kind of bring us up to speed. Give us a little bit of background on how you ended up here in the real estate industry and kind of what you're doing now.
Sure. So I grew up in Brazil. Came to the U.S. 20 years ago to college and met my wife in college. She's from Charleston, South Carolina. That's how my connection to Charleston goes in there. And I've always had this entrepreneurial thing. So I graduated in finance, ended up working for energy companies and Disney. I worked for Disney as well in the finance department. But pretty quickly, as soon as I started doing this, I realized I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I always had it. That's why I was in the U.S. I came to study here. I wanted to go out of wherever I was. I've always been looking and trying to do new things. So started a company, quit that job, started a company and was in Brazil. Then I went back to Brazil and I was traveling from the US to Brazil all the time. Basically, man, the typical entrepreneur story, you put everything at it, you almost lose everything. And then ended up raising, millions of dollars at a board of directors, and we were bringing berries like raw food from the Amazon to beverage companies, and it was super fun. I mean, this was 2009, 2008, 2007. A lot of like high markets and then the low markets, right? So that company ended up going out of business. I mean, we did well, but then the market changed, so it was time to move to the next company. And every time one of these things started and it ended, I wanted to get into real estate. I'm like, okay, this is the perfect time for me to get into real estate because I have the personality. We're going to talk about this, right? Yeah. And then I'm perfect for this and I love it. But then I would come up with the next idea, and that's me. And I would try the next idea and turn it into a little business. And then over the last 20 years, I mean, I've started 10, 15 different small businesses. Half of them worked, half of them didn't work. And it's a constant, being always on this entrepreneurial side, trying to sell something, try to prove something, hearing a billion no's before you hear that one yes. This is the story of my life, right? So about 2 years ago, I was on another company. It was a distribution company, which I came up with this innovative model to distribute products to grocery stores. It was all iPad technology based, video based already. I was getting to that. It was growing, but then I burned out very quick. I had to, from where I was, I took it from $0 to $500,000 in about a year in revenue, selling $10 products at the time. So it's a lot of sales to make that happen, and going across the state. So a bigger distributor came in, bought me out. I'm like, you know what? Going to the Florida Keys because we've been wanting to come for a while. Came to the Keys, and that was finally the perfect time to get into real estate. So got my license, was ready to go. First day in the office, being an entrepreneur like I am, what is the pain point? How do I become the best? Because I'm never going to be just one more player. Like, what do I do to become the absolutely best? And I started looking at the marketing part and what real estate agents are doing for marketing and more important, what they're not doing. And that turned into me creating my social media accounts within a year, getting thousands of followers, thousands of, tons of realtors following me, teaching them what am I doing. And then it became, okay, I'm now helping real estate agents to get their marketing across. And then, Century 21 came along, and then now it's kind of like I am a realtor still. I have a license. I did run a couple of deals, but my primary focus is to help the brand management, the personal branding, the social media part for real estate agents.
Got it. Got it. So good, really good stuff in there. And what I want to have you maybe expand on a little bit is you came from like a lot of us, nobody was born into saying, I'm going to be a real estate agent or I'm going to be a top producer. We all ended up somewhere before this, and we've evolved into where we're at now. But what did you see when you came in and said, all right, I'm moving to the Keys because I just want to be there. And now is the time that I'm going to get into real estate because it's good market, good price point. What did you see at that point that was like, okay, the first thing I need to work on is I need to figure out how to get my presence, how to get my brand, how to get an impact and some visibility there. Why did you see that is? Because that's an opportunity I think that all of us have, but you recognized it as the first opportunity that you wanted to work on. What did you recognize about this industry or about the people that are in the industry that made that like, no, that's priority?
Brandon, the biggest, and it's already in this industry, it's in every little small business, every industry right there. The biggest problem for service providers, real estate agents, entrepreneurs, trying to get your name across is just the attention. Agents, lawyers, mortgage brokers, you name it. We're all trying to figure out how to get that attention. Before we do anything, before we try to sell a product, we need to get the attention. Or how do we make that people actually stop because it's so noisy? There's so much going on, and look at me. So traditionally, what I've seen real estate agents doing is, the postcards, the magazine ad, trying to network in the Chamber of Commerce. Some of them have been using Facebook. The percentage of realtors, in my opinion, that are doing the social media, it's still very small. But the ones that are going about the Facebook and trying to get into other channels. And it's just, to me, it's the glaring miss that every real estate agent has. And I've been watching your content. Oh my gosh, everything you and Greg talk about, it's so incredibly important. The phone calls, the knock on doors, all of that, the discipline. But across the industry, I see real estate agents being a victim of technology instead of dominating technology. So then you end up having to pay for expensive websites, pay for lead generation, pay for graphic design, all these services that really, truly, as a real estate agent, you are an entrepreneur, you got to figure out how to do it, because it doesn't take a lot of time, and then go after. We live in a world that it's all about you. It's the personal branding. The middleman is dying. So if you do not figure out how to get your niche, whatever your niche is there, in your market, it's going to be very tough to do business in the very near future. It already is. It's so competitive. So I saw that as a huge opportunity, and I started number one thing I did is I started my Instagram account. And I hooked up 2 cameras on top of my my monster truck. And I was driving up and down, so you couldn't miss me, believe me. So you couldn't miss me. And I'm filming things, and and it was all about the Keys. It's not about real estate. It's about me, the branding, value that I'm providing. Next thing you know, within 6 months, I have thousands of followers. So I got the attention.
Yeah, and do you think that because it's evolved, like marketing's always been important. I think branding has always been important, but the way that happens in the message, I think, has really changed over the last 5 or 6 years. So in the past, the branding and the marketing was, if you're going to be the rock star, then you've got to be on the billboards, and you've got to be on the grocery cart, and you got to be on the park bench, and you've got to be on all that stuff, which is just, it's showing that you're out there. But now the consumer sees, like what you mentioned earlier, there's so much noise that they don't even pay attention a lot of times to that stuff. And they are looking for more of the message, or that person's that has a presence. And I guess if you're looking at it from the negative perspective, it's like, well, gosh, I've got to go and I've got to put myself out there, which we know you have to. But from the positive standpoint, in 12 months, what did you do with your accounts?
Oh my gosh. In terms of what, results or?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of going in and showing up, and no one knows who Carlos is. When Carlos rolled down US 1 with his moving truck or his monster truck, whatever he had, nobody knew who you were. But within 12 months,
The F-150. It's the F-150.
right?
Here's the
Within,
thing, and I tell the realtors that I'm educating right now, right? So we live in this unique world where right now I can get in front of anybody, any real estate agent. Brendan Payne, you want to get in front of our CEO, Michael Midler. It's 2 steps and he will see your message. There's no hiding, right? That's what social media provides that to you. And specifically Instagram and YouTube. There's so much noise. That's another thing that I'm noticing in this industry. There's so much noise. Do this, do that. No, don't do this. Jump on TikTok. You know, $49.99 a month, you learn how to do it. So there's so much other things to do. And what I'm proposing that agents do it is not the only thing they need to do. They still need to do all the things that you and Greg are advocating because that's part of the business. This is just a requirement, an extra requirement that is just the nature of the beast, if you call it.
yeah, boy, and I people will know when they see this about like Brendan and Greg are doing a podcast on social media, which is that's a step out of the normal box. But we recognize how important it is. But thank you for clarifying. This isn't the magic pill, but this could be the part that if you fail to embrace it and fail to actually be flexible in what you learn, that could really impact your business, even though you do all the other things. So we've really in the last year or two started understanding and started really communicating that this doesn't change the fact that you got to get up every day and you need to generate new business. It doesn't change the fact that you have to follow up like a madman more than you ever had before. But while you're doing that, you need to add in this other layer, which is visibility, presence, content, because if not, then you're going to have somebody like you can come into a market and all the work that I put in for 10 years building this database, now all of a sudden you're putting 3 times the content on them and you just got relevant just like that to them. And it took me 10 years.
10 years. And that is what these technologies are doing. And if you don't keep up with them, right? The way the internet is, the internet that you know today, the whole type, Google, search for things, as most people know, that's not going to exist in 5-6 years. It's done. It's already changing. It's all going to be like, I'm in the kitchen. Alexa, 2 real estate agents that are having properties in my neighborhood, top 2. And if you do not have video content consistent that provides value information, you're not going to be found. You're not going to pop out on that search. And if it's not on the Alexa device that's on your fridge, on your counter, it will be on your smart TV. Alexa, show me those houses on 2570, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and it's going to show the house. And then all the videos associated with that neighborhood, all the content, the video, the audio, everything about that, your branding is going to show up there. And yes, you will be able to buy leads. They will be very expensive, and it's the same old thing. Why, if you have an opportunity today, before this all starts, if you have an opportunity to put your foot out there and put your flag in it, become the value provider in your community, why not do it? It takes 10 minutes a day. It's not a huge commitment once you know the tools. If you know what to do, and I tell my agents, what would you do? And this is what I told them on the first meeting in Century 21. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? That's what entrepreneurs need to think. Every entrepreneur thinks this way, right? If you had all the tools, if you believed in yourself 1,000%, because if you don't believe you can do it, stop right there. You gotta believe that you can do it. So what would you do? You would do more videos, you'd be more on camera, and you get more attention. Lo and behold, I have 5 agents right now that are exactly doing that. They had 0 social presence 60 days ago. They're in the top 9 social media accounts in our 100-mile ranges right now. In the next 30 days, they'll be top 5. And the entire Century 21 team is going to be this way. All because they learned the tools and did the work. If you don't do the work, that's not going to work either.
Yeah. Knowledge is nothing without the action.
Yeah. Without action is just, believe in yourself. And this is being an entrepreneur, because I've been an entrepreneur. I know your podcast focuses on that. For the last 10 years, man, there's 3 things you need to be doing. You got to be extremely positive. It's extremely hard to be an entrepreneur. Despite of all the news, the flashy multi-billion-dollar exits, 99% It's not the flashy. It's grinding. So you got to be positive. You're going to hear no's. 50,000 no's, go to the next. For me, you know, on my beverage business, for example, I'll give you an example, and then I relate to the real estate. I was trying to sell those berries that I had from the Amazon to Pepsi. And I was after that guy. I went to trade shows. I did all kinds of things. No. One day, and then it was almost, and then they pulled the plug on a deal with Pepsi Cola that I was working on it. I sat on this bench, and I'm like, it's over. I mean, I'm done. It took me 5 minutes to feel sorry for myself, and I'm like, you know what? I'm calling Coke. So I called Coke, and I said, hey, I'm doing a deal with the big blue company. That's what I said. And they're not very interested in it. You want to look at it? They looked at it, and I ended up signing an agreement with a subsidiary of Coca-Cola based on that call. Same thing with real estate. I got here. I started doing these videos, getting attention. I started filming multi-million-dollar properties, and I came to a high-end brokerage here in the Keys saying, what if we do this? What if we get all your agents to be extremely knowledgeable on social media, dominate the market? And they're like, I don't know, no. So I walked out of the office and I went to the next one that I thought it was amazing. And they jumped on it, and that is Centric 21. And we are now absolutely becoming the dominant force of social media. And this just got started. So when you hear a no, just move on. And I am, you know, if you're trying to sell, get a seller to list a house, you just gotta keep making those calls. Keep making those calls. Let them know who you are. You know, Carlos G, that's my brand. My truck says Carlos G on the side. I have like 10 different shirts with 10 different colors. They all say the same thing. It's Carlos G. My videos are Carlos G. I could literally run for city council right now in Key Largo. I might win.
Yeah.
So you got to let yourself know. That's the thing. Get the megaphone. Internet, social media, those are megaphones. And real estate agents need to do it. It's critical right now.
For sure. So I think there's three groups of people when it comes to the agents, and there's the people that are already doing it, and they've taken their steps and they're moving forward, and they're optimizing what they're doing. So they might get a couple things from this, and that's great. Then there's the people that are like still not convinced that this isn't going to be, you know, oh, we don't have to worry about this stuff. It's fine. I got my centers of influence and all that stuff. And we probably don't have time on a 30 to 40 minute call to convince them. So let's focus on the third group, which I think are the ones that have adopted it and said, okay, I believe, I understand what I need to, or I understand that this is important, but where do I begin? Can you give us maybe 3 to 5 points for that person to just get started and get past the overwhelm of like, what do I say? What do I do? Where do I put it? All that.
The main thing, the number one thing is people are scared of what they look like, what they sound like. They're concerned about the settings, the voice quality. And the reality is when you meet somebody face to face to do business, you are what you are. That's what you look, that's what you sound like. So that's a mental fear, a psychological block that you have that stops you from putting content out there. The second thing is the technology. They don't know what to do, right? What app do I use? What phone do I use? How do I produce those videos? I understand that. You can easily, in my case, because I learned by doing it, you spend 30 hours on the internet, you learn everything you need to learn. It's all there. It's on you. It's all over the place, right? So you can learn that. Those are things that you can overcome. So assuming that you pass those 2 barriers, you're more comfortable, you know what to do. What you need to post out there as a real estate agent, in my opinion, is valuable content. So a lot of agents that are not doing this right because they're just putting personal information. You know, I'm here at this beautiful waterfall, you know, or I'm having a beer with my friend, or this is the nice, light, flashy restaurant that we're meeting. All good, but from a home buyer and a home seller's perspective, if I found you, what I need you to tell me is what's going on in real estate in my market, what is the price range that's selling, what is the top 3 mortgage providers that you work with that I could call, what is the insurance in our market? Insurance in the Florida Keys, it's a big question, right? What is the flood insurance? How do I provide value? It's like 90% value, 10% entertainment. And people are doing the opposite. The ones that they're doing 90% entertainment, 99% entertainment, and 1% value. So if you don't provide value, there's no reason for a home buyer or home seller to sell. You are not a celebrity. You're not Jennifer Lopez. You're not Gary Vee. You don't have a following. there's no point of you posting it. You're posting it for yourself because you think it looks good. But for the guy on the other side or the girl on the other side that is watching this, they're here to learn. And the good news is that if you do this, nobody's doing, you quickly become the resource. That is the key thing. You know, if they understand that, get over the fear of your voice, learn the 2-3 apps that you need to do, figure out how to edit, and just provide value every day. Like you were talking to your customer in Starbucks. You go to that first Starbucks meeting, what do? You dress the best, you bring your folder, you talk about your knowledge on the market. You don't come and talk about your dog. That's what people are doing. So that's the mental shift that I think it needs to happen. They know it. It's just, I don't know what the block is. And then I'm going through this in my own, you know, on our Century 21 office. But now that I'm there, literally every week, every month, showing the ropes, they're starting to see success and they're doing it. And it's incredible to see what's going to happen with our brand. All agents should be doing this. I mean, all agents should pull the camera and get on social media tomorrow morning. YouTube and Instagram, those are the two that I recommend. So the next thing is, where do I go? YouTube and Instagram. There's so much noise about TikTok, Twitter, all of that. People are on Instagram, they're on YouTube. If you have been doing Facebook, continue. That's fine. You can do ads there and things like that. You already have your sphere of influence in there. But Facebook is very busy. It's a very busy platform with a lot of other noise around that has nothing to do with real estate. And people, you know, on Instagram, it's so easy. By the time I got to Century 21 to meet the brokers, I was already tagging them on the stuff that I was doing. It's so important how you can get in front of people today and without paid advertising. That is the big thing. Lead generation requires payment, low quality leads. You really can target. If you do this right in your market, because it's all about being a local social media rock star, not global. Forget about being a celebrity of 10, 20,000 followers. That's unrealistic. That's what a lot of people are selling this, and it doesn't make any sense. You got your spheres of influence, your market, your farm. Be a rock star there. There's enough information there, and I guarantee you there's nobody doing this, right? So before I got to do this, start this relationship with Century 21, I started tagging the brokers of Century 21 on all the stuff I was doing. By the time I left the other brokerage that didn't want to do the deal that I proposed, when I got to the office, they already knew Carlos G. They already knew who I was. It wasn't like, hi, it's a cold call. It was a fully warm call. They knew my work. They knew the material. And it was, imagine you bringing buyers and sellers in that situation where you're not having a cold relationship. They already know who you are.
You're showing up with your last 5 listings that sold, like they're showing up in the car with you, and they're just like, well, here's Brendan's last 5 success stories, and they're rolling along with you. Your success stories are, your visibility already.
You're not having to prove, know, and here's my observation, Brendan. You might, I don't know if you agree with that, but agents have to work on their reputation. There's an elephant in the room there that, for whatever reason, buyers and sellers think of agents like not, I don't know, just trying to transaction. If you ask around, most buyers and sellers think they're just transactions. There's very little personal relationship going on. So you got to overcome that. So you can't come in and try to sell. Instagram, YouTube, it's not a place for a hard sell. It's a place to build trust. Your number one job is to make them feel comfortable, trust you, Trust you. If you're comfortable, you provide value. You're not just here to communicate listings and deals. That's not what you need to do. You're just providing value, educating, because one day when they're ready, you're the only one providing value and communication. Well, I'm going to call you. Who else am I going to call? If everybody is, everybody's on somebody's database, right? You and Greg were talking about this on the other podcast the other day. They're getting pounded by this message. The same database from different realtors or different brokerages all over. Same content every single week on the dot. And here comes you. Here's what's going on with the insurance market and everything. Here's the price moves, the houses that are selling. Here's the reasons why a deal falls through. Here's how you can solve it. Here's the top 3 mortgage providers in my market. Highlight your partners. Build people up. When you build people up, you kind of, the rising tide lift all boats.
Yep.
You kind of go up there. Just be positive. I mean, that's the really big positive and put your name out there.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go back to something that you brought up when you were talking about why people may not do this. And I think the obvious one is, they're self-conscious. And I really like the point of what you said, where they're worried about how they sound. They're worried about how they look. But newsflash, you're going to show up and deal with your client. Nothing changes. You still sound the same way. You still look the same way. Yeah. But one of the things I actually just heard on, and you mentioned Gary Vee. I heard just on a podcast in the last probably 2 weeks, he brought up about how when we're worried about what we look like, what we sound like, is somebody going to laugh? Is somebody going to think this is irrelevant? We're judging ourselves. And man, he said something that from the day I heard it, I personally have put into my daily, like, I've got to work on this. It's because we're judging ourselves, and the people who judge themselves are typically the people who judge other people.
So 100%. I didn't hear that, but it's totally true. Yeah.
So what do you work on? Well, when you're flipping through, you're going through all of these, Instagram and stuff. What do? We're like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? Oh, that's silly. Yeah. Stop judging what others are doing so that you can stop judging what you do.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening. If we're judgmental of what others are doing, then we can't help but judge ourselves. And there's so much pain in loss involved in judging yourself in what you're doing in this business, especially when you're trying to grow, your brand and your presence.
Yeah. This is, I couldn't have said better. 100%. Agree 100% with that. You got to go out there with the mentality that you believe you have an amazing product or amazing service, or you provide that service, right? One of those three things in there. And you have this customer, this potential buyer, potential seller. They need to hear your message. That is and that is all you need to focus. They hear to hear your message, and then move on and continue providing value. You really got to think like an entrepreneur. And here's one little tip for all the agents that haven't been entrepreneurs. They're new agents, and they came from a job, for example, and they're jumping into this profession. Every entrepreneur, from Elon Musk to everybody, you think there's a concept called 180 degrees, which is take everything you do today, flip 180. So if you're not making any calls, start making calls tomorrow morning. All right. If you're not doing any sales because you're not presenting your product, your product with the proper bells and whistles, or you don't have the right products, flip that away and bring a different product. Everything you're doing that's not working, do 180. That's what innovation means, right? Mm-hmm. That's what Tesla's doing. You do 180, and it's incredible. And that's how new products are born, right? Yeah. Every entrepreneur, for every company I've ever had, everything I've ever started, it's always like, what can I do that is 180 from what everybody's doing? Yeah. Right? So as a realtor in the market, it's the 180 thing. What angle or how can I provide value different and better, 180% different than what I'm doing right now? And usually they're not doing well, immediately they start doing well. It's just a simple concept. And I've read this in like 20 different books already, and I've applied.
Yeah, because we really are. I was told I think Greg was probably the one that introduced this concept to me, is all you have to do to figure out what you believe and what you've actually done is look at what you've got. So if you want to do more, then you have to look back and say, okay, well, what got me to here? I'm going to have to change something up there. We just can't, we can't wish it true. As much as we can, being positive, and that mindset's really important. It still requires action. And a lot of times it requires, to your point, 180-degree difference in what we're doing today. Especially on the topic that we're talking about. So I know you said focus on Instagram and YouTube, educational, presence, relevant topics. We know the audience. So let's dial it down even a little bit more. What on a daily basis should somebody do? I guess that'd be the first, like, what do you see? How many posts is that in a day? And then is this something where the agent themselves needs to be the owner of this for a period of time and just literally work it into your schedule? How much time do I need to have in my schedule each day to do this stuff? And then do you see a point where it's like, okay, now it really can be something that's outsourced? Because I see what a lot of people are doing. They're scrolling through. Christmas to New Year's, we talked about this. Ads, $25 a month, and we're going to take your social media platform, and you look and it's like their calendar of these things that they're going to, and they're just, it's the equivalent of spam. Boom, just pushing all this stuff out there.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. What you'd suggest?
Everybody that's in the world that we live today, 2020, it's genuinity, authenticity. So if you're thinking about outsourcing your social media to a third party, you're already lost. You're done. Don't even start.
Just conceptually, it's just off. It's just not even in the same.
Should not even be. It just, I know it sounds tempting, but it's not about quantity. It's about quality. And it's about a personal connection, right? They will never know what Brandon sounds like on a real conversation if they're not hearing from Brandon on a real conversation, or Carlos G, right? So if you get somebody just to post silly quotes, silly pictures, things that are completely irrelated to the business, just so you feel good, oh, look at my account, I have all these feeds, there's no engagement. Again, it's not the number of followers, it's the community you create. So it's how many people are engaging with the stuff you're creating, right? So on a daily basis, here's what realtors, a couple of ideas that they could do. So Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, let's talk about your neck of the woods there, right? You can easily highlight neighborhoods, drive around, show the neighborhoods. This is the old village. It's been here for the very long time. Over the years, here's the school, 8th grade school, only 7,000 people live in the neighborhood. The prices are high. And there's the, have you been to the old bridge? There's the old bridge on the back that you can see the boats going by. Boom. 2 days later, go highlight another thing. Highlight the best restaurant in town. But it's not just I'm eating at the restaurant. Do a little video, interview the chef, get the owner to come out, especially if you live in a small town. People love this kind of thing, this marketing stuff, right? You're just highlighting the community and showing them what's around. If I'm a buyer, I'm like, okay, what's around this town? Are the schools good? Is the food good? The neighborhood safe? What kind of activities I have for kids?
Yeah.
You can easily highlight this because you're already doing these activities every day. You're not going out of your way to highlight that restaurant. You're already going there for dinner. You see what I mean? And it's not a picture of the food. It's actually, this is the kicking chicken, the best fried chicken in Mount Pleasant. You know what I mean? And then if you can interview the chef, do it. Highlight the homeless park. Go in Charleston, South Carolina. There's so much to do. Highlight the bridge. If you live in Mount Pleasant, you can walk and run the bridge every day. The content, that is valuable content, right? And then your mortgage partners can highlight, here's what the interest rates look like today. Here's what a credit score is. So you're kind of directing people to that information. But don't post information that is not valuable. If you don't have anything good to say or valuable, don't say anything. It's not about quantity, but it has to be you. It's the world where it's a personal connection. So if you outsource, you already killed that thing. And then you're not going to be able to connect with people. The whole reason that the internet, the whole thing is set up for you to succeed. The entire system is ready for you to succeed. You just have to do it. You just have to take action. It's there. It's not, we're not reinventing the wheel. It's just there.
Awesome. So I can feel them asking me, nobody's even watched this, and I can feel them asking me, all right, I'm not convinced. I'm too old. I'm too old school. I'm not technology driven. I just gotta rid my flip phone. I can't do any of this stuff. I'm just going to have to suffer the consequences. I know you've got some success stories. So talk to me about the folks that have maybe been very coachable in your program, had a very open mindset, and what have they been able to do in the period of time that you kind of.
So, I mean, in the last 90 days, the first time I came up to Center 221 to the sales meeting, right? We had all the agents in there. We have 80 agents on our 5 offices. And everybody heard this before. We all heard that this is important to do it. The part that everybody stops is, well, how do we do it? And on the first meeting, as I explained everything, you could see everybody that day. I'm going to do it tomorrow. They were delighted. I mean, the show was good. I put up a nice show. They loved the idea. Take this class, do it. So the next day or 3 days later, only 50% of the people actually took action, started their Instagram. You fast forward 2 weeks later, because they got busy. There's prices, there's closings, there's all these things. There's 15 agents actually doing the work. And of the 15, 7 are amazing. And the ranges in ages are, I have a 23-year-old doing fantastic. I have a 65-year-old
Wow.
that's never been on camera, she's been doing real estate for 30 years. She's on the days where you had the book that people had to walk into the office to actually see anything, right?
The MLS book, yep.
Not in the MLS book. 3 months ago, she was, I don't know what to do. Nobody's coming to the office. I don't understand marketing. I don't understand the technology. You know, my phone it's not a flip phone, but it's 6 years old. It's barely working. Well, she started an Instagram account 45 days ago. She's now producing 1 video a day, a simple video. Go follow her. It's Linda G in the Keys. That's her Instagram. She has 749 followers in 30 days. 5 minutes a day, she puts 1 simple video. She's doing to the T what somebody's supposed to do. She provides the value and goes away. Provides the value, goes away. Off this 749 followers, 35%, which is about 280 followers, live in our market. So now, and if they live here, they either rent, they buy, they're gonna sell one of those, right? So now she has 90 days ago, no idea how to connect with people, with now 280 people in her area that are listening to everything she's saying. This is so powerful. She's 65 years old. She thought the game was over, and the game just got reset for her, and it's starting again. There are other realtors in our market that are asking her to share their listings on her Instagram.
Wow.
From the other high-end company.
Yeah.
It's just critical. And I can name 5, 6 realtors that are doing the same thing here. She's already on the top 10 for the whole Florida Keys, right? It's just, if you apply the knowledge and you do the work every single day, overnight, it doesn't matter. The buyers and sellers are 60 years old, they're 40 years old. The age, the demographics is all over the place. It's who you're going to connect with. You're not going to connect with everybody. Some people are not going to like your message. That's okay. Right. But there's a percentage of people that will. And once you capture them, all we have to do is provide genuine content. It's not a hard sell. You know, she's not always trying to sell. You know, she never says, please call me.
Yeah.
She's just there. Here's this neighborhood. Here's the sailboat. I love sailing. Here's the draft. Simple information. So anybody can start, you know, and I have a challenge right now that I issued to all my agents on yesterday's sales calls. You start today, 90 days from now, you have over 1,000 followers organically that you brought because of the content you put. 30 to 40% of them statistically are going to be your local followers in this market. And if you do this, you're ahead of 99% of our other agents in this area, which is 100 miles for us, right? Of course, different cities will have different variations. If you go to a bigger city, there's more people. But over the top, you know, I'm watching and follow a lot of agents. I watch what it's being posted. I watch how it's being done. And it could improve dramatically if we just think about providing value and knowing that you can reach people. Because I know I can reach people. Like, if you ask Greg or whoever's managing Greg's Instagram, go there, because he's going to see Carlos G all over. There's, you know, because I wanted to make sure he saw my content before we got into the podcast. There. It's like this. You turn on the button and you get in front of people. So if you have this, why would you not take advantage? Yeah. Right? Think as an entrepreneur. This is your advantage. Do this one extra thing. Sometimes it's that one extra step that makes the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, and I think that for Linda's example, what I think of is, you know, she's been in the business 30 years, has an unbelievable amount of value to the consumer, cares, probably as a contributor, probably as a giver before she's a taker. And if in absence of something like this, look at the amount of people that might miss out on an opportunity to work with her. Because if they don't know, then they just go with whatever's out there. And this is part of the bigger picture that I think I know you're committed to, Greg and I are committed to. We want to raise the standard. We want to raise the transform the agents in the industry. And part of that is by giving the best ones the most opportunities to get in front of the consumer, because then the consumer's served at a higher level. And then the reputation of the industry gets better, and we all get better together. So I think that's a critical part of it, of just being able to put yourself in a position to help more people, and that means you have to stay relevant, and it's changing how you do that.
Got to stay top of mind, and technology is enabling you to stay. The tools you have today were only available to Coke and Pepsi 10 years ago. It's now at your fingers, and everybody 24/7. It doesn't matter your age. You're on this phone. You know, Amazon sold 200 million Alexa devices. Everything going forward will be video, audio, in your car, in your fridge, in your kitchen. 200 million Alexa. Grandparents are buying to talk to the kids. You can't stop this. The transformation that's coming to real estate, to connection between humans, it's incredible. And it's available. I feel when I talk to my agents here that I'm showing them the path to the rainbow, the pot of gold. And it's taking convincing to like walk, because it's there. A year from now, it won't be there. A year from now, other agents will be doing the same thing. They have a lot more competition. It's going to be harder, but right now it's incredibly easy for you to kind of bump up. And she was a rock star in 45 days. Nobody knew her. Now it's 794. I think she'll pass 800 today, but. And my prediction in the meeting is by next time we meet, February 5th or something, she'll be over 1,500. If she keeps doing what she's doing, which is now motivating my other agents to, okay, let's start doing this because I see success. I said, if you don't do it, one day I'm going to come to the sales meeting. I'm going to say, Linda got a listing from Instagram. And maybe that's when you will do it. But just get started. The reason, the thing you need to do is start today. Start this afternoon. Watch this podcast, turn it off, start. Awesome. Advice for every agent out there.
Awesome. Well, this has been really, really good. I mean, the content is packed full. I know this is going to be listened to multiple times by when people pull it up, and it's the subject that they've been looking for. They're going to get some really good stuff here. So, tell us what, I know you've got some things in terms of what you're doing with the C21 agents, with your offices there in the Keys. Tell me, if somebody wants to try to get a hold of you or get a little bit more information on, they're buying in a little bit, but they just don't have, they just still need a little bit. How can people get a hold of you and so that they can get some more information on how to make this work?
Yeah, so I mean, I encourage everybody to learn as much as they can. So I put up a podcast. If you just go on YouTube and you Google Get the Attention Carlos G, it comes with my podcast. Or if you have an Apple podcast, just type Get the Attention. In this podcast, which was started a few months ago, we're every couple of weeks putting content out there and tips on what you could do. And if you watch this, you can learn 99.9, I think 100% of what I'm talking about, because it's simple, and it's the goal there is to motivate you to do it. It's teaching you some tricks. It's teaching you the content. I'm putting next week I'm gonna do one where it shows you how to edit your videos, how to tell a story in 60 seconds, right? It's enough for you to get information, right? But if you want to take a step forward, I have a class for the Century 21 agents that they can take it. It's called gettheattention.com. You can also get through the podcast there. But if you need a little more intense training, go there. You take the class. It's $99. It's just non-committal. Take it. It's a bunch of 5, 10, 20-minute videos. Pull your phone and do it with me right on the screen. Just don't watch it. Just watch 5 minutes. Lesson number 1, do it. Because it will teach you the steps. Or you can just watch the podcast and go and learn. It will take a little time. But if you do it, man, it's just, and I'm on a mission to get every Century 21 agent in our system to do this. I'm watching all these accounts, see what they're posting. I know what people are telling, And two big problems right now in this industry is there's 2 types of teachers. One is a celebrity, and it's telling you need to get millions of followers. And it's not realistic.
At any cost.
At any cost.
Yeah.
And it's not doable. And it's jets and flying and all these things, and it's missing the point of not showing anything. The other one, which is something you and Greg face that in the industry, is people that haven't done anything trying to tell the agent how to do their social media. So if you have 100 followers, you don't have a YouTube account, how are you telling agents to produce thousands of followers or engaging? It's the same thing with the producing broker that's not top producing, trying to tell agents they're going to be multi-million-dollar producers if they had never done it themselves.
They're coaching from theory. They're coaching from a textbook and a theory, not experience.
They're reading Instagram. They're reading that Instagram is great, and then you can do all kinds of stuff. But if you haven't done it, you can possibly tell it. And if you're like a celebrity, you got to teach down to earth. What are the steps that you take? Step 1, step 2, step 3, do it. So if you go watch the podcast, it's there, guys, free. Go watch it and do it. And if you need more information, send me an email, shoot me a text. If there's any question I can answer on my Instagram, Live Vital Life, right? Live Vital Life. You can, I'll put the weekly social media tips as well, but everything, and some of these tips might be great for you. Some you already know. And if you already know, pass it along to somebody that doesn't know. Let's help everybody to get this going so you can dominate technology. People need to stop being dominated by technology. You just got to reverse 180. You got to do the 180. The 180, man, applies to everything.
180. I like it.
The 180.
We need a G with 180 below it. That's your new shirt design.
The G 180 below. But yes, very exciting. Yes.
Good. Well, I appreciate you getting on again. And for anybody that has any South Florida referrals and stuff, I'm sure that Carlos will be happy to take your Florida Keys referrals, maybe even some Miami. I know you could, that's not too far of a drive. You could go up to Miami and help a buyer or seller. And please reach out to him. And if there's anything else he can get you in. Again, on behalf of Greg and I really appreciate you getting on. And for our audience, please continue to give us your suggestions, the things that you like, the things that you don't like. Topics that you want to hear more about, and subscribe and leave us some reviews, because the reviews are what helps us get great guests like Carlos on here. I know he's on a mission, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you are going to be able to create down there. So until the next one, thanks so much for getting on the Level Up podcast, everyone, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, everybody.